Our sister Thelma Frazer was born on the 29th of June 1960 and died aged 20 on the 14th of February 1981. Thelma was the third eldest of 7 boys and 2 girls. Thelma had a beautiful, wide, radiant smile with stunning red short hair. She was covered in freckles and of slim build. Thelma was so gentle and kind and would do anything for anyone. My earliest memories of Thelma was when Mum was dropping Robert off to school and she took myself and Eric in a pushchair up to wave at Thelma in her job. She had an office on the 3rd floor looking out on the main road in Ballsbridge. She would see us coming and would come out for a quick hug and a kiss. I was the second youngest, so Thelma was 14 years older than me. My older brother Robert, who was 2 years older, was born premature and as a result suffered with a lot of complications in his early years. Because of this, my mum had to care a lot for him. Thelma was more like a mother to me. She would wash and dry my hair, help me to get dressed, and take general care of me so Mum would have time for Robert. I loved my big sister, especially being in a house full of boys. Our family home was always bustling, always something going on. 3 bedrooms between 11 of us. It was tight, but we made it work. I shared the box room with Thelma, where we shared a single bed, in which we slept top to tails. I remember her skin on her feet always scratched me because it was so rough. I would give out to her. She would just end up tickling me. What I really remember is the fun in the house. I'm sure the neighbours hated the noise. It wasn't bad noise. It was always laughter and singing.
Thelma and I were very close. There was only 9 months between us. Irish twins, you might say. We played together, we learned together, we got sick together. Thelma went to St. Bridget's Primary School, where she spent her early days. Not one teacher would say a bad word about her. She was an excellent student. She also joined the Order of Malta in Clyde Road with her 2 younger brothers, Mark and Paul, and her best friend, where they learned the skills of first aid and would be on duty at several events around Dublin over the years. She went on to study business and communications at Ballsbridge Business College, where she excelled and was noticed by the head teacher, who recommended her to the Irish Productivity Centre just across the road. Here she would engage with Irish trade unions and employers and other agencies. She loved her job, and I'm sure she would have made a career in the labour relations area. She made many friends inside and outside of school, college and work. She loves sports, whether it be a 10k run with her brothers, or playing football with her work colleagues, or going to see Shelbourne in away trips. With all 3 older siblings now working and earning decent wages, our home was now a joyous place to be. We are finally able to clear the mortgage that hung over our family for years. Thelma was introduced to the love of her life, Michael, by her aunt and uncle. All the family had such good times with these 2 doting redheads, from fun holidays in the sun to family gatherings and occasional cabaret at that place in Artane. This is the passport from 1980, which we got for her first trip away, and as you see, it's like brand new. It hasn't been touched since 1981, and that's what it looks like, brand new, and only 1 stamp on it, to Girona, on the way to Loretta Mar. And we had a great holiday. Thelma was, itching to go away again. Just before the Stardust, they had arranged a holiday with her friends this time, and they had paid her off just 2 days before the fire. And to think that they had the whole life ahead of them and they wanted to go and enjoy themselves.
A few months before Thelma was killed, she won some money and she went out and bought presents for us younger children. Myself and Eric still have those presents today, which we cherish. Mine was a little Fisher-Price record player. My sister Thelma bought this for me. I've cherished memories of it with Thelma. And now, even with all my nieces and nephews over the years, they've all played with this. Even my grandnieces now have played with this. So I'll always cherish it. Thelma loved her music and used to buy records to play for us. Boney M and ABBA. She would try to teach me some disco moves. Thelma was always thinking of other people before herself. She loved life. Friday nights were Thelma's nights for going out. She would come home from work and have dinner, then get washed. I would race up to bed to help her get ready before her boyfriend Michael would pick her up. He was such a lovely guy. He was just like one of my brothers. I'd love to see him come to the house because he was so much fun. He would sit on the floor and play with us. Or if we went out for walks, he would put me on his shoulders.
I can recall one night at that place in Artane, as we were leaving the cabaret, Thelma noticed a young lad getting badly beaten by a thug. Without hesitation, my petite sister stepped in, pushing the attacker away. The young lad was unconscious. To this day, I'm convinced my sister saved his life that night with her life-saving skills. Then a few months later, the unimaginable happened at that place in Artane.
On Friday the 13th of February 1981, I was just 6 years old, the night that changed our lives forever. Thelma came into the bedroom as I watched with admiration while she got her makeup and hair ready and picked out her clothes, me dreaming of the day I could do the same and go dancing with her. She then hugged me, gave me a kiss and took me into bed before heading off with Michael for the St. Valentine's night disco. That was the last time I saw my big sister.
We were woken by our dad shouting, "There's a fire at the Stardust." My poor dad cycled around the major Dublin hospitals in the hope that his daughter would be found. He dispatched my brother and I to family in Donnycarney in the hope that Thelma and her boyfriend were alive and made it there. Our dad was photographed outside the Mater Hospital while the photographer was focusing on the Taoiseach Charlie Haughey and the Garda in deep conversation. There to the side of them was our dad with a 2,000-yard stare. I was just wondering what was going through his mind at that snapshot in time. As we searched frantically for hours, our hopes slowly dwindled and we came to the realisation that we might never see our beloved sister Thelma again. But we lived in hope that she may be in shock somewhere, as there were so many reports that some walking wounded had been taken care of by local people, as all hospitals were full to capacity. Added to that, not many people had phones back then. Our home went from a happy home, full of life, laughter, to just a house. The little ones in the house had been taken to friends and family for a few days as we tried to comprehend the enormous event that hit our family. Our mum was heavily sedated with all the commotion in the house. Our dad went missing for a few hours and we became concerned. He was brought back to the house by a passing Garda who found Dad sitting on a bench at Sandymount Strand crying his eyes out. 2 days later, we got a call to go to Source Street for identification. We went in, the cigarette smoke was choking and there was another smell there. The sobbing from families was interrupted by cries of anguish and anger. We were given a brown envelope with a few pieces of melted jewellery and the remains of her digital watch, which my older brother identified as Thelma's. I was not convinced. I was in denial. The Garda sergeant was quite abrupt with me, but on reflection, I was grieving already. I can remember the Garda shaking our hands afterwards. God knows what that poor man witnessed over the last few days. A few days later, we were told that it was indeed Thelma's jewellery, as dental records finally confirmed it was Thelma. This is ring that was on her finger that night, and these are what she was wearing that night, her digital watch and some jewellery, all melted of course. This was actually taken from the coroner's court in Store Street, so there's a little bit of history behind it because my dad wanted everything back, and this is what we were given maybe 2 years later from Store Street, with the help of politicians giving us a hand to get her what we have left to remember Thelma by, physical. We appreciate the help everybody did in getting us these very valuable things back to us.
The next morning I will remember for the rest of my life. My dad, a gentle giant, woke me up shouting, "Where is Thelma? Where is Thelma?" He had me by the shoulder, shaking me. I didn't know what was going on. As he ran off down the stairs, I followed him with tears in my eyes, shocked that he had woken me so abruptly. I entered the sitting room only to find my mum collapsed on the floor in front of the television. I couldn't understand it. What had happened? That was the night that stole my sister. That was the night that stole my happy family. That was the night that stole my childhood. A mother afraid to hug, a mother afraid to love, in fear of losing another child.
Our family lost its soul that night as we were consumed by heart-wrenching sobs and a sense of numbness that lingered in our minds forever, impossible to erase even today. Our mum and dad were truly heartbroken. It literally did break their hearts, as both of them passed away within 10 years of the Stardust, both at the fairly young age of 56. Leaving a young family behind, Mum and Dad were also victims of that place in Artane. The horrors of those days had a huge effect on the remaining siblings. We were never given counselling. The only counselling we got was from our family and friends and neighbours, which we are forever thankful. I was studying civil engineering in Bolton Street at the time. One of the lecturers would reference the Stardust many times. Each time it was mentioned, my heart would sink and my stomach would wrench. I did question myself if I could continue to study, but I did. Even today, there's a fire alarm test every Friday at 10 a.m. at St. Vincent's Hospital where I now work. My heart stops a beat when I hear it. But I like to think that this testing may be as a result of my sister and 47 other young people losing their lives that night, and it may focus people into the importance of fire safety.
Primary school for me was, "Oh, your sister was killed in a fire. What does that feel like?" I'd shrug my shoulders and walk away. Teachers would tell me how lovely Thelma was. For us younger siblings, Eric, Robert and Des, it was all the hushed conversations that we were not party to, answers to our questions still unanswered. Growing up, the neighbours and family calling me Thelma by mistake, which happens still to this day. I know Thelma is still watching over me, but what I would give for her not to have gone that night and stayed at home with me, scratchy feet and all. When I made my first Holy Communion 1 year later, my sister was not there. When our dad had a heart attack and we tried to resuscitate him in 1988, if Thelma had been there, maybe he would have survived with her first aid training. When Mum was fighting cancer 3 years later and died in 1991, Thelma should have been there. In my teens, for advice, my big sister should have been there. When 17 years later our brother Robert took his final breaths from his short 9-month battle with cancer, my sister should have been there. In my preparations for my wedding, my sister should have been there. When I had my daughter, my sister should have been there to be an auntie. When my daughter was making her confirmation and chose the name Thelma, my sister should have been there. Thelma missed out on so much in life and everything it had to offer.
When I see the Stardust Memorial in Coolock, with the young man and the young woman dancing, I picture them as Thelma and Michael. My late dad, Arthur Sr., had taken many notes during the first Stardust tribunal, which he had a number of questions he had hoped would be answered. I hope our late father's concerns through this inquest can be laid to rest with him, and we can finally have a chance for truth and justice for our own and all the other families. If I was to sum up Thelma's spirit, it would be from a few words of a song which she used to hum around the house. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony.
My name is Eric Frazer. I was just 5 years old when my sister Thelma died in the Stardust fire. That night was devastating for my family, as it was for all those who lost and suffered. I have only one lasting memory of my older sister. I feel like I never got to say hello, let alone say goodbye to my sis. I grew up in a happy household with many other siblings constantly talking about how lovely she was and reminiscing on happy times I never got to know with Thelma. My memory of you, dear Thelma. Time has passed and lives moved on, yet darkness lingers in our memories. The night you went to the Stardust, lives of hundreds changed forever. You, my fire-haired sister, with a smile so broad and a laugh filled with spring, you lost your life in the most tragic way, and with that we lost everything. Her folks grew old overnight, my brother went grey, my questions of your return never went away. I miss my row your boat big sister every single day. I wish you could be with us all and part of our united happy clan. I wish I could snuggle you one more time and hold your sweet scented soft hands. All the lives you touched with happiness and love, you will never be forgotten. Until we are linked together in heaven, my heart will remain broken. My son asks of his Auntie Thelma regularly. I can't answer his questions, as I was only 5 when you were stolen from me. I have but 2 memories of you, my sister, that I hold so very dear, and I will treasure them in my heart and soul for many, many a long year. We can never move on, as we've never had the answers. We can never shed light on what happened to all the midnight Stardust dancers.